Have you ever wondered how much money you'd need to be considered one of the richest Jewish people in America? Turns out it's a lot, like billions, a lot. We're talking 15 people who could buy your entire city without blinking. Ready to see who they are and how they got so loaded? These folks ain't just rich, they're mega rich. 15. Leonid Michelson. Alright, let's kick off our list with number 15. You might be thinking, how rich do you gotta be to make it on this list? Well, let's just say our number 15 spot ain't exactly hurting for cash. Meet Leonid Michelson, the Russian-born tycoon who's made his fortune in a way that'll make your head spin. This guy ain't messing around with tech startups or social media. Nah, he's all about that black gold. We're talking oil and gas, baby. Michelson's the big boss at Novatek, Russia's largest independent natural gas producer. Yeah, you heard that right. This dude's got his hands on more gas than your uncle after a big family dinner. But that's not all. He's also invested a chunk of change in a petrochemical company called Cyber. Now you might be thinking, okay, so he's got some fancy energy companies. But how rich are we talking? Well, let's put it this way. Michelson's sitting pretty at number 15 on our list, but don't let that fool you. This guy's still loaded enough to make your average millionaire look like they're scraping by on minimum wage. But here's the thing. Michelson ain't just about making money, he's also into giving it away. Yeah, you heard me right. This billionaire's got a soft spot for the arts and culture scene in Russia. So while he's busy counting his stacks, he's also dishing out cash to support museums and stuff. Now I know what you're thinking. How does this guy stack up against the other ballers on the list? Well, let's just say Michelson's got some serious competition. We're talking tech giants like Mark Zuckerberg and media moguls like Michael Bloomberg. Michelson's rich, no doubt about it, but compared to some of these other cats, he's practically living paycheck to paycheck. But don't feel too bad for old Leonid. He's still got enough cash to buy pretty much anything he wants. Private jets? Check. Luxury yachts? You bet. A solid gold toilet? Okay, maybe not, but he could probably afford one if he wanted. 14. Jim Simons. Speaking of making money in ways you've never heard of, our next billionaire on the list is a real math whiz who turned numbers into serious cash. Meet Jim Simons, coming in at number 14. This guy ain't your average Wall Street suit. Nah, Simons was a legit math genius before he got into the money game. He was cracking codes for the government and teaching math at fancy universities. But then he thought, why not use all these crazy math skills to make some serious dough? So in 1982, Simons started this company called Renaissance Technologies. Now you might think, what's so special about another investment firm? Well, let me tell you, this ain't your grandpa's stock-picking strategy. Simons and his team of super nerds use these insane mathematical models and computer algorithms to predict what's going to happen in the stock market. It's like they've got a crystal ball, but instead of magic, it's all math and computers, and boy, did it work. Their main fund, called Medallion, has been making money like it's going out of style. We're talking about average returns of 39% a year for 30 years straight. That's the kind of performance that makes other investors green with envy. But Simons ain't just about making money for himself. He's also big on giving it away. He and his wife set up this thing called the Simons Foundation, and they've been throwing millions at science and education projects. One of the coolest things they're doing is funding research on autism. They've got this whole initiative called Safari that's trying to figure out what causes autism and how to help people who have it. Simons is also hooking up his old school buddies with some serious cash. He's donated big time to places like Stony Brook University and MIT, helping them do more research in math and science. So yeah, Jim Simons might not be a household name like some of the other folks on our list, but in the world of finance, he's kind of a big deal. He took his math smarts and turned them into billions, proving that sometimes being a nerd really does pay off. And get this, all that brain power and money-making skill has landed Simons at number 14 on our list of the richest Jewish people in America. Not too shabby for a guy who started out as a math professor, right? 13. Miriam Adelson and family. You thought math nerds and oil tycoons were impressive? Wait till you hear about number 13 on our list. We're talking about someone who turned Sin City into a gold mine. Yep, it's Miriam Adelson and her family, the casino empress herself. Now, the Adelson family didn't just stumble into the casino biz. Nah, they built an empire from the ground up. It all started when Miriam's late husband, Sheldon Adelson, bought the Old Sands Hotel in Las Vegas. But he didn't just slap on a fresh coat of paint and call it a day. This guy had big dreams. Sheldon transformed that dusty old joint into a mega resort. We're talking the Venetian and the Palazzo. Places so fancy you might feel underdressed just walking by. But the Adelsons didn't stop there. They looked across the ocean and thought, hey, why not bring a little Vegas to Asia? That's when they set their sights on Macau. Ever heard of the Cotai Strip? It's like the Las Vegas Strip, but in China. The Adelsons pretty much built that whole thing from scratch. It's so big and flashy, people call it the Las Vegas of Asia. And let me tell you, that move made their bank accounts swell up like a balloon. But here's where it gets interesting. When Sheldon passed away in 2021, everyone wondered what would happen to this casino empire. Enter Miriam Adelson. She ain't just sitting pretty on her husband's fortune. Nope, she's got the majority stake in Las Vegas Sands and she's calling the shots now. Miriam's not just about raking in the casino cash, though. She's big on giving back too. She's throwing serious money at medical research and drug rehab programs. It's like she's trying to cure the world's problems one big check at a time. So there you have it. Miriam Adelson and her family didn't just hit the jackpot, they own the whole dang casino. They turned a single hotel into a global empire of glitz and glamour. From Vegas to Singapore, if you've ever dropped a coin in a slot machine, chances are you've contributed to the Adelson fortune. 12. Jeff Yass. Alright, we've seen some serious money makers, but our next billionaire took gambling to a whole new level. We're talking about Jeff Yass, the guy who turned playing cards into a multi-billion-dollar empire. Yeah, you heard that right. This dude used his poker skills to become a Wall Street legend. Now you might be thinking, how does playing poker help you make billions? Well, Yass ain't your average card shark. He used the skills he learned at the poker table to outsmart the stock market. It's like he found a cheat code for making money. Back in the day, Yass was just a smart kid who loved math and gambling. He'd spend his time playing poker and studying probabilities. But instead of blowing his winnings on fancy cars or expensive watches, he had a bigger plan. He took those poker skills and applied them to something way bigger, the stock market. In 1987, Yass and his buddies started a company called Susquehanna International Group, or SIG for short. Now, SIG ain't your grandpa's investment firm. These guys use crazy math and computer programs to predict what's going to happen in the markets. It's like they've got a crystal ball, but instead of magic, it's all numbers and algorithms, and boy did it work. SIG grew to become one of the biggest privately owned financial firms in the world. They're known for their options trading, which is like betting on whether stocks will go up or down. Yass is so good at this, people started calling him the options oracle. That's right, this guy can see the future of the stock market like some kind of financial fortune teller. But Yass ain't just about making money for himself. His company, SIG, is known for being super careful with risks. They use all sorts of fancy techniques to make sure they don't lose big. It's like they've got a safety net made of math. Now, you might be wondering, how rich is this poker player turned Wall Street wizard? Well, let's just say Yass has enough cash to buy a small country. He's sitting pretty at number 12 on our list of richest Jewish people in America. That's right, this guy's got more money than some of the tech giants and media moguls we've already talked about. But here's the thing about Yass. He's not flashy with his cash like some other billionaires. You won't see him buying giant yachts or gold-plated jets. Nah, this guy's all about the game. He's still obsessed with solving problems and outsmarting the market. So there you have it, Jeff Yass, the poker player who turned Wall Street into his personal casino. He took his love for gambling and turned it into a multi-billion-dollar business. Just goes to show, sometimes the biggest winners in life are the ones who know how to play the game. 11. Stephen Schwarzman. We've seen some wild ways to make money, but our next billionaire took it to a whole new level. We're talking about Stephen Schwarzman, the guy who turned buying and selling entire companies into a cash printing machine. Yeah, you heard that right. This dude's not just rich, he's I can buy your whole neighborhood rich. So who is this Schwarzman guy and how'd he get so loaded? Well, he started out like a lot of Wall Street types, working at a big firm called Lehman Brothers. But Schwarzman wasn't content just climbing the corporate ladder. Nah, he had bigger plans. In 1985, Schwarzman and his buddy Pete Peterson decided to start their own company. They called it Blackstone, which sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, but trust me, the money they make is very real. They started with just $400,000, which might sound like a lot to you and me, but in the world of Wall Street, it's basically pocket change. But here's where things get crazy. Schwarzman and his Blackstone buddies weren't just buying stocks or bonds like regular investors. They were buying entire companies, fixing them up and selling them for way more money. It's like flipping houses, but instead of houses, they're flipping multi-billion-dollar businesses. One of their biggest deals, they bought Hilton Hotels for $26 billion back in 2007. Yeah, that Hilton, the one Paris Hilton's family started. Blackstone took that company, worked their magic, and when they sold it a few years later, they made a killing. Now you might be thinking, okay, so this guy's good at buying and selling companies, but how rich are we talking? Well, let me put it this way. Blackstone now manages over $619 billion in assets. That's more money than some countries have in their entire economy. But Schwarzman isn't just about making money, he's also big on giving it away. This guy's donated hundreds of millions to schools like Yale and MIT. He even gave $350 million to MIT to start a whole new college focused on computing and artificial intelligence. It's like he's trying to create a whole new generation of super smart tech nerds. 10. Gerard Wertheimer, the fragrance mogul who's sitting pretty at number 10 on our list. Now you might be thinking, fragrance? How does someone get filthy rich selling perfume? Well, let me tell you, this ain't just any old bottle of smell-good juice. We're talking about Chanel, baby. Yeah, that's Chanel. The one your girlfriend's been dropping hints about every Christmas. But here's the kicker. Gerard and his family didn't start Chanel. Nah, they swooped in and bought it like it was on clearance at the mall. See, back in 1924, Gerard's grandpa, Pierre Wertheimer, teamed up with the OG fashion queen herself, Coco Chanel. They started this little thing called Parfum Chanel. And let me tell you, it was anything but little. Fast forward a few decades and the Wertheimers are running the whole Chanel show. Gerard and his brother Alain inherited the company from their dad, and they've been making it rain ever since. But Gerard ain't just sitting back and counting his cash. Nah, he's been busy turning Chanel into a global powerhouse. Under Gerard's watch, Chanel's been expanding faster than your waistline after Thanksgiving dinner. They're not just selling perfume anymore. We're talking high-end fashion, jewelry, watches. If it's fancy and expensive, Chanel's probably selling it. But here's the thing about Gerard. He ain't flashy like some of these other billionaires we've been talking about. You won't see him posting selfies on Instagram or bragging about his latest yacht. Nah, this dude's more private than a Swiss bank account. When he's not busy running Chanel, Gerard's got his fingers in a few other pies too. He's big into wine, owning this fancy vineyard in France called Chateau Rosan-Segler. And get this, he's also into horse racing. Yeah, when you're this rich, buying a racehorse is like the rest of us picking up a lottery ticket. So there you have it. Gerard Wertheimer, the guy who turned a bottle of perfume into a multi-billion-dollar empire. He might not be as famous as some of the tech bros we've talked about, but trust me, his bank account is just as impressive. And in the world of luxury goods, Gerard's the king. Or should I say the emperor of eau de parfum. But as fancy as Chanel is, we've still got 9 more ballers to go. And let me tell you, the next one on our list, they're so rich they could probably buy Chanel with their lunch money. So stick around, because we're about to see some serious cash. 9. Alain Wertheimer. You thought Gerard Wertheimer was rolling in the dough. Well, get ready, because his brother Alain is right there with him. These two are like the dynamic duo of designer dollars, and Alain's sitting pretty at number 9 on our list of Jewish billionaires. Now you might be thinking, another Wertheimer? What's the deal? Well, let me tell you, these brothers ain't just sharing a last name. They're tag-teaming the fashion world and making banks do it. Alain and Gerard are the big bosses at Chanel, but Alain's the one who's been running the show since the 1970s. And he ain't just sitting back and letting the perfume profits roll in. Nah, this guy's been busy turning Chanel into a global fashion empire. Under Alain's watch, Chanel's gone from fancy perfume to full-on fashion powerhouse. We're talking clothes, jewelry, watches. If it's got that little double C logo, you know it's gonna cost you. But people are lining up to buy it, and Alain's laughing all the way to the bank. But here's the thing. Alain ain't just about making Chanel bigger. He's all about keeping it classy. While other fashion brands are slapping their logos on everything from sneakers to smartphone cases, Chanel's staying true to its high-end roots. And let me tell you, that strategy's paying off big time. Now, you might be thinking Alain's got all his eggs in one fancy Chanel basket, but you'd be wrong. This guy's smarter than that. He and his brother have their fingers in all sorts of pies. They own vineyards in France and California, because when you're this rich, why not make your own wine, right? But that ain't all. The Wertheimer brothers are also big into horse racing. Yeah, when you've got billions in the bank, buying a racehorse is like the rest of us picking up a lottery ticket. Here's the crazy part, though. For a guy worth billions, Alain keeps a pretty low profile. You won't see him bragging on Instagram or showing off his latest yacht. Nah, this dude's more private than a Swiss bank account. He rarely gives interviews or makes public appearances. It's like he's the fashion world's invisible man, pulling the strings behind the scenes. But don't let that fool you. Just because you can't see him doesn't mean he ain't making moves. Under Alain's leadership, Chanel's been growing faster than your credit card bill after a shopping spree. They've been buying up other luxury brands and expanding into new markets like it's going out of style. 8. Len Blavatnik, the guy who's got more investments than you've got socks. This dude's sitting pretty at number 8 on our list, and let me tell you, he's not just rich, he's I can buy a small country rich. So who is this Blavatnik guy and how'd he get so loaded? Well, he didn't start off in tech or fashion like some of our other billionaires. Nah, this guy made his first big bucks in something a little less glamorous. Aluminum. Yeah, you heard that right. The stuff you wrap your leftovers in. Back in the day, Blavatnik saw an opportunity in the Russian aluminum industry. While everyone else was fighting over oil, he was busy buying up aluminum plants like they were on clearance. And boy, did it pay off. This move laid the foundation for his massive fortune. But Blavatnik ain't just a one-trick pony. He took all that aluminum money and started spreading it around like butter on toast. He's got his hands in media, technology, and real estate. It's like he's playing a giant game of Monopoly, but with real companies. One of his biggest moves, buying Warner Music Group in 2011 for $3.3 billion. Yeah, that Warner Music, the one that's got artists like Ed Sheeran and Cardi B. Not a bad investment when you think about how much we all pay for streaming these days. But Blavatnik didn't stop there. He's also big into tech. He's got stakes in companies like Spotify and Square. So every time you stream a song or use one of those little white card readers at a food truck, you might be putting a few more pennies in Blavatnik's pocket. And let's not forget about real estate. This guy's been snatching up properties like they're going out of style. Commercial buildings, fancy homes. If it's got a roof and walls, Blavatnik's probably interested. The crazy thing is, Blavatnik's not just throwing money around randomly. He's got a knack for spotting the next big thing. It's like he's got a crystal ball that shows him where the cash is going to be. And he ain't afraid to take risks. He's jumped into industries that other investors wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. 7. Mark Zuckerberg. This dude's not just rich, he's I can buy your entire social life rich. So who is this Zuckerberg guy and how'd he get so loaded? Well, it all started back in 2004 when he was just a regular college kid at Harvard. But instead of partying like the rest of us, Zuckerberg was busy cooking up something big in his dorm room. He created this little thing called Facebook, and let me tell you, it was anything but little. At first, Facebook was just for college students to connect, share pics, poke each other, all that fun stuff. But Zuckerberg had bigger plans. He saw the potential to connect the whole world, and boy did he make it happen. Fast forward a few years and Facebook's gone from a college networking site to a global empire. We're talking about nearly 3 billion people using it every month. That's like half the world's population scrolling through their newsfeed while they're supposed to be working. But Zuckerberg ain't just sitting back and watching the likes roll in. Nah, this dude's always thinking big. He's all about making the world more open and connected. It's like he's trying to turn the whole planet into one big group chat. And let me tell you, his vision's paid off big time. Facebook's grown faster than your waistline after Thanksgiving dinner. They've bought up other companies like Instagram and WhatsApp, making sure they've got their fingers in all the social media pies. But it ain't all been smooth sailing for Zuckerberg. Facebook's faced some serious heat over the years. We're talking about privacy issues, fake news, data breaches, all sorts of drama. It's like running a social media company is harder than trying to explain TikTok to your grandma. But here's the thing about Zuckerberg. He ain't backing down. Every time Facebook faces a challenge, he's right there, ready to take it on. It's like he's playing a giant game of whack-a-mole with PR nightmares. 6. Michael Dell. This dude's sitting pretty at number 6 on our list, and let me tell you, he's got more cash than a Vegas casino on payday. So how'd Dell get so loaded? Well, it all started back in the 80s when he was just another college kid. But instead of partying all night, Dell was busy tinkering with computers in his dorm room. He started this little side hustle called PCs Limited, selling upgrade kits for personal computers. And guess what? His classmates couldn't get enough of it. But Dell wasn't content with just selling upgrade kits. Nah, he had bigger plans. In 1984, he dropped out of college and turned his dorm room hustle into a full-blown company. Dell Computer Corporation was born, and it was about to shake up the whole PC game. Here's where Dell got clever. Instead of selling computers through stores like everyone else, he went straight to the customers. No middleman, no markup. You want a computer? You call Dell, tell them what you want, and they'd build it just for you. It was like the fast food of computers, but way fancier. This move was huge. Dell's prices were lower and customers loved being able to customize their PCs. The company blew up faster than a viral TikTok dance. Before you knew it, Dell was a major player in the PC world, going toe-to-toe with big dogs like IBM and HP. But Dell ain't just about personal computers anymore. Nah, this guy's always thinking ahead. They've expanded into servers, storage solutions, and all kinds of fancy IT services. It's like Dell's trying to take over the whole tech world, one gadget at a time. And get this, in 2016, Dell pulled off one of the biggest tech deals ever. They bought this company called EMC for a whopping $67 billion. That's more money than some countries have in their entire economy. It's like Dell walked into a tech store and said, "I'll take the whole place." But here's the thing about Michael Dell. He ain't just about making money. He's also big on giving it away. Him and his wife set up this foundation that's thrown over $1.5 billion at all sorts of good causes. They're all about improving education, health, and helping families get on their feet. It's like Dell's trying to upgrade the whole world, not just its computers. 5. Michael Bloomberg. You thought building computers was impressive? Wait till you hear about the guy who turned financial data into a gold mine. We're talking about Michael Bloomberg, the media mogul who's so rich he could probably buy every Bloomberg terminal in the world and still have change left over. Now, Bloomberg didn't start off as a big shot. He began his career on Wall Street, just another suit in the crowd, but this guy had bigger plans. In 1981, he took his Wall Street know-how and started Bloomberg LP. At first, it was just a company selling financial data to banks and investors, but Bloomberg saw the potential to turn boring old numbers into cold, hard cash. Fast forward a few decades and Bloomberg LP ain't just selling data anymore. They've got their fingers in all sorts of pies: news, radio, magazines. If it's got anything to do with finance or business, chances are Bloomberg's got a piece of it. It's like he built an empire on spreadsheets and stock tickers. But here's where things get interesting. Bloomberg wasn't content with just being a business big shot. Nah, he wanted to run the Big Apple itself. In 2002, he became the mayor of New York City. And get this, he did it as a Republican in a city that's bluer than a Smurf convention. Bloomberg served 3 terms as mayor, and he wasn't just sitting around eating bagels. He banned smoking in bars and restaurants, tried to outlaw big sodas, and even got rid of trans fats in food. It's like he was trying to turn New York into the world's biggest health spa. But don't think Bloomberg forgot about his business while he was playing mayor. Nope, his company kept growing faster than a New York minute. By the time he left office in 2013, Bloomberg LP was making more money than ever. And here's the kicker. Bloomberg ain't just about making money. He's big on giving it away too. He's thrown billions at all sorts of causes, from public health to education to the arts. It's like he's trying to solve all the world's problems with his checkbook. Bloomberg is also known for his extensive philanthropic efforts, having donated billions towards various causes, including public health, education, and the arts. 4. Steve Ballmer. This dude went from being Bill Gates' right-hand man to owning an NBA team. This guy's sitting pretty at number 4 on our list, and let me tell you, he's got more cash than Microsoft has updates. So how'd Ballmer get so loaded? Well, it all started back in 1980 when he joined this little company called Microsoft. Yeah, that Microsoft. The one that's probably running on your computer right now. Ballmer wasn't just another employee, though. He was employee number 30 and the first business manager hired by Bill Gates. Ballmer wasn't messing around. He helped turn Microsoft from a tiny startup into a tech giant. We're talking Windows, Office, all that stuff you use every day. Under Ballmer's watch, Microsoft grew faster than a kid on a growth spurt. By 2000, he was the big boss, taking over as CEO from Bill Gates himself. Now, being CEO of Microsoft ain't no walk in the park. But Ballmer, he thrived on it. During his time as the head honcho, Microsoft kept growing and growing. They launched Xbox, bought Skype, and kept pumping out new versions of Windows and Office. It's like Ballmer had the Midas touch, but instead of gold, everything he touched turned into cold, hard cash. But Ballmer ain't just about software. When he stepped down from Microsoft in 2014, he decided to get into the sports game. And we're not talking about buying a local little league team. Nah, Ballmer went big. He dropped $2 billion on the LA Clippers. Yeah, you heard that right. $2 billion for a basketball team. That's more than some countries' entire economies. And get this, Ballmer ain't just sitting in the owner's box sipping champagne. He's all in on the Clippers. He's courtside at games, cheering louder than the mascot. It's like he's trying to will the team to victory with his enthusiasm alone. But here's the thing about Ballmer. He ain't just about making money. He's also big on giving it away. Him and his wife set up this foundation that's thrown millions at all sorts of good causes. They're all about improving economic mobility for kids and families. It's like Ballmer's trying to give everyone a shot at the American dream, not just tech whizzes. 3. Sergey Brin. You thought owning an NBA team was a big deal. Wait till you hear about the guy who basically owns the internet. We're talking about Sergey Brin, the brains behind Google. This dude's sitting at number 3 on our list, and let me tell you, he's got more zeros in his bank account than there are in a Google search result. So how'd Brin get so loaded? It all started back in the 90s when he was just another nerdy PhD student at Stanford. But instead of writing boring papers, Brin and his buddy Larry Page cooked up this crazy idea for a search engine. They called it Google, and it wasn't just any old search engine, nah. These guys came up with something called PageRank, which was like a crystal ball for the internet. PageRank didn't just look at how many times a word showed up on a web page, it was way smarter than that. It checked out how many other important websites were linking to that page. It's like they figured out how to measure street cred, but for websites. And let me tell you, it worked like magic. Before you knew it, Google was blowing up faster than a viral cat video. Everyone and their grandma was using it to search the web, but Brin and Page didn't stop there. They kept coming up with new stuff that we all use every day now. Google Maps? Yeah, that was their idea. Google Drive? Yep, that too. They even tried to make those funky Google Glass things, but that didn't quite work out. In 2015, Brin and Page decided to shake things up. They created this thing called Alphabet, which is like a big umbrella company that owns Google and a bunch of other wild projects. We're talking self-driving cars, delivery drones, and even research to help people live longer. It's like Brin's trying to create the future, one crazy idea at a time. But here's the thing about Brin. He ain't just sitting back and counting his billions. Nah, he's still in there getting his hands dirty with all sorts of wild tech projects. He's all about pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Artificial intelligence, quantum computing, you name it. If it sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, Brin's probably working on it. 2. Larry Page. You thought Sergey Brin was impressive? Well, get ready for his partner in crime, Larry Page. This guy's sitting at number 2 on our list, and he's got so much cash he could probably buy Google if it wasn't already his. So who is Larry Page, and how'd he end up with more money than some small countries? Well, it all started back at Stanford when he met Sergey Brin. These two nerds hit it off and decided to create this little thing called Google. Maybe you've heard of it? Page wasn't just the idea guy, though. He was Google's first CEO, running the show from 1998 to 2001. And let me tell you, he wasn't messing around. Under Page's watch, Google went from a college project to the biggest name in search. It's like he had a magic wand that turned web searches into gold. But Page ain't just about search engines. Nah, this guy's got a vision bigger than your grandma's TV. When he came back as CEO in 2011, he started pushing Google into all sorts of crazy new areas. Self-driving cars? Check. Internet beaming balloons? Why not? It's like Page was trying to turn Google into some kind of tech superhero, ready to solve all the world's problems. And get this, in 2015, Page and Brin decided to shake things up even more. They created this thing called Alphabet, which is like a big umbrella company for all their wild ideas. Google's just one part of it now. It's like Page looked at his tech empire and thought, you know what? Let's make it even bigger. These days, Page ain't running the day-to-day stuff at Google or Alphabet anymore. But don't think he's just chilling on a beach somewhere. Nah, he's still out there dreaming up the future. He's big into flying cars now. Yeah, you heard that right. Flying cars. It's like Page took a look at traffic and said, you know what would fix this? If we just flew over it. But here's the thing about Page. He ain't just about making money. He's trying to solve big problems. Climate change, disease, you name it. It's like he's using his billions to try and save the world. And with a net worth of over $100 billion, he's got plenty to work with. 1. Larry Ellison, the Oracle of Silicon Valley himself. This dude's sitting at number 1 on our list, and he's got so much cash he could probably buy Silicon Valley and turn it into his personal playground. So how'd Ellison get to be the king of the tech world? It all started back in 1977, when he and a couple of buddies started this little company called Software Development Laboratories. Sounds boring, right? Well, they soon changed the name to Oracle, and things got a whole lot more interesting. Ellison and his crew weren't messing around with social media or search engines. Nah, they went straight for the backbone of the tech world, database software. Oracle became the go-to company for businesses that needed to manage their data. And let me tell you, in the digital age, data is worth more than gold. But Ellison wasn't content with just being the database guy. He started buying up other companies like they were on sale at the dollar store. In 2005, he dropped $10.3 billion on PeopleSoft. The next year, he snatched up Siebel Systems for $5.8 billion. It's like he was playing Monopoly, but with real companies and real billions. One of Ellison's biggest moves, buying Sun Microsystems in 2010 for $7.4 billion. This deal gave Oracle control over Java, the programming language that's used in pretty much everything these days. It's like Ellison bought the secret source of the internet. Now you might be thinking, okay, so this guy's good at buying companies, but how rich are we talking? Well, let me put it this way. Ellison's net worth is over $100 billion. That's more money than some countries have in their entire economy. But Ellison ain't just about making money. He's also about spending it in style. This dude's got a $110 million estate in California that's so fancy, it makes Buckingham Palace look like a trailer park. And get this, he owns an entire Hawaiian island. Yeah, you heard that right. In 2012, he bought the island of Lanai for $300 million. It's like he looked at Hawaii and thought, you know what? I'll take that one. But wait, there's more. Ellison's got a collection of cars that make a NASCAR driver jealous. He's got private jets that are probably nicer than your house. And his yacht? It's a 288-foot monster called Musashi. It's so big it probably has its own zip code. Ellison's also big into sports. He owns the Indian Wells Tennis Garden and the Indian Wells Masters Tournament. It's like he decided regular rich guy hobbies weren't enough, so he bought entire sporting events. But here's the thing about Ellison. He ain't just sitting back and counting his billions. He's still out there making moves in the tech world. He's invested in all sorts of startups and companies. It's like he's trying to own a piece of every cool new tech idea out there. And when he's not busy running Oracle or buying islands, Ellison likes to sail. But we're not talking about leisurely trips around the bay. Nah, this guy's won the America's Cup multiple times with his team, Oracle Team USA. It's like he looked at one of the most expensive sports in the world and thought, yeah, I'll dominate that too.